Alrighty, welcome to this video. We are going to be practicing more word problems that have to do with percentages. Alright, so as always, I'll ask you to try the problem first, and then I will solve it. Okay, there's 6 of them in this problem set, so let's get started. Number 1. There are n candies in a jar. If one candy is removed, what percent of the candies are left in terms of n? So, which choice is it? So, take 30 seconds. Pause the video and take 30 seconds to solve this. Okay, the answer is D. Why is that? So remember, percentage is just a ratio, all right? We're just going to convert that ratio in terms of hundredths, okay? So there are n candies initially. You take out 1, how many candies are left? N minus 1. Write that as the ratio of the original, okay? And then multiply by 100%. And that's exactly what this is right here. Okay. Number 2, the price of a cell phone was discounted by 25% and then discounted another additional 20% to become $348. What is the original price of the cell phone before it was discounted twice? So try this one first. If you go shopping a lot, piece of cake. I feel like I say this all the time when it's a discount question or something like that. Okay, did you get 580? How did we get that? Okay, so let's call the original price X. It was discounted first by 25%, so we're going to multiply by 0.75. Why is that? Well, when it's discounted by 25%, there is 75% of it left, right? 75% of the original price is left. Okay, and then we additionally discount it by 20%, so we're going to multiply by 0.8. The final price is $348. So the original price, we just divide by those two numbers, 348 over 0.75 times 0.8, all on the bottom. Okay? And we technically don't need a calculator. We can write this as 348 divided by 0.75 is 3/4. 0.8 is how much? That is 4/5. Okay? So you can see the 4's cancel. And this is just 348 times 5 over 3. Okay? Now, if we cancel, this is what? 116. So 116 times 5. That is 500 plus 50 plus 30. 580. Okay? Here's a mixture one, so be careful with this one. A chemist mixes a 40% acid solution and a 30% acid solution. How many liters of the 40% solution must be added to produce 50 liters of a solution that is 36% acid? So go ahead and try to solve this one first. Be careful with setting it up. The answer should be C. All right. So we're going to call X be the amount of 40% and Y be the amount of 30%. All right. So you can just imagine that if you just have the 40% solution, of course the acidity is 40%. And of course, if you just have the 30% solution, of course the acidity is just 30%. So you need to mix the two to essentially dilute this 40%. You need to dilute the 40% with the 30% to get 36%. Dilute means you make it weaker. Or you make this one more concentrated. It's just the other way to interpret it. All right? And that's why you mix the two. Okay, so you want to have 50 liters total. Okay, so you need to remember X is the amount of 40%, Y is the amount of 30%. So X plus Y is 50. That's my first equation, okay? And then the acidity we have to take into account. If we have X amount of the 40% solution, well, as I just said, by the name, 40% is acid, okay? And 30% of the other one is acid. That's what makes it 30% acid, right? Self-explanatory, hopefully. Now you want the final product to be 36%. Okay? and there's 50 liters total. So of the 50 liters, you want 36% of it to be acid. That's what we are trying to do. So that's why it's 0.36 times 50. It's not just 0.36. I think that's a common error people make. It's 0.36 times 50. 36% of the 50 liters is acid. Okay, so 2 equations, 2 unknowns. Let's solve this. So I can multiply, by the way, this is 18. Okay, so let me just write this one more time. Plus 0.3y is 18. And then I can even multiply by 10 on both sides. So 4x plus 3y is 180. I'm going to use linear combinations. So I'm going to multiply this equation by how many liters of the 40%. So I'm going to eliminate the 30%. So I want to eliminate the y. So I'm going to multiply this equation, both sides, by -3. So -3x minus 3y is minus 150. Add the 2 equations, you get x is 30. X is the amount of 40%, which is what the question's asking. So that's why it's 30 right there. All right. So that's the typical setup for these mixture problems. This one just looks like a setup one. Victor invests part of his $5,000 in savings in a savings account that pays 4.5 annual simple interest. He invests the rest in bonds that pay 8% annual simple interest. Let S be the amount invested in savings and R be the amount invested in bonds. Victor's total income in 1 year from these investments is $300 and $305.50. Which of the following systems of equations represents this relationship? So try and pick the right one. Okay. So he invests a total of 5,000. Okay? Because part of it goes to the savings account, the rest of it is in the bonds. So total is 5,000. So S and R are the amounts invested into 2 types of accounts. So S plus R would be 5,000. Equation 1, let's see, we can eliminate this, eliminate this. 2 choices left. Okay, so he gets this much in, whether it's interest or, do bonds pay in interest? I forget. But the income total is $305.50. So, in 1 year. So, for the amount he invested in the savings, the amount of interest he gets is 4.5%. So we're going to write 0.045. That's 4.5%. And then in the bonds, it is 8%. So 0.08. This is 305.5. And that's your second equation. Okay, so the answer is C. Next, a sporting goods store added 50% profit cost and 8% tax to the price of a backpack, which then became $129.6. Was the price of the backpack before adding profit and tax? So go ahead and try this yourself first. Okay, so this question I feel like is a little bit vague. So this is probably how they were trying to word it, and this is probably how it works in real life also. So let's say the price of the backpack original before adding these guys is P. Okay. If you want to add 50% profit, then you're adding 0.5P. So that's P plus 0.5P, which is 1.5P. Okay? So this is the price that you'll see in the store. Okay? And then when you go ring it up, there's also sales tax. So this is what this comes from. Okay? And the sales tax is applied on the price to display in the store, the price tag, not the original price that they bought it for. Okay, so it's 1.5 P times 8% tax, so 1.08. That is 129.6. Okay. So P is 1.5 times 1.08 is 1.62. So 129.6 divided by 1.62, that is 80. Okay, so that's probably what the answer they want. All right. Last one. There are 800 students in a school, and 45% of the students are male. If 30% of the male students and 25% of the female students play varsity sports, how many students play varsity sports? So go ahead and try to solve this one first on your own. Okay. So 800 students, 45% of them are male. So how many male students are there? So 800 times 0.45. How much is that? This is 45 over 100. So it's 8 times 45, which is 320 plus 40, which is 360. There's 360 male students total in the school. Okay? If 30% of the male students and 25% of the female students, so 30% of 360. So we're going to multiply this by 0.3. 360 times 0.3. And how much is that? That is 108, I believe, if I did it in my head correctly. 108 male plus varsity sports. I'll put VS, not versus, varsity sports, okay? 25% of the female students also play varsity sports, so you could just subtract 800 minus 360. How much is that? That is 440, right? So 440 female students, and 25% of them are in varsity sports. So this is a 4, so divide by 4, that's 110. So 110 female students that are in varsity sports. So the total is 108 plus 110, that is 218. And that's how I thought through it. All right, how'd you do? Hopefully these weren't too bad. So I think the hardest one, honestly, is probably this one, this mixture one. People usually get it wrong because, precisely because they don't do 36% times the amount. Otherwise, these are pretty straightforward problems, in my opinion. And hopefully, once again, as you did them, you saw the pattern for all of them, okay? If you need more practice, there'll be the chapter review that's coming next. So please look out for that. Otherwise, as always, please like and subscribe if you found this video helpful.